at 5'11", coming out of Flagstaff, Arizona, Paul Favorites. Where's my crowd? Where's my crowd? Nobody's cheering. Go guy. Look, guys, welcome to the PJF podcast. Calvin, what episode is this? It's something. It's like 27 or something. We have the upper echelon founders in the building. We got my guy Tom. We got my guy Max. We're talking about, well, first of all, what is upper echelon? We get into the science behind it, the science behind protein in general and why it's beneficial to have a high protein intake. From there, we actually went into some business talk because I know a lot of you guys are interested in eventually starting your own business, or maybe you're at that stage in your life right now. We got in the trenches talking about business. So this is going to be a very valuable podcast. Stay tuned, and I think you're going to really enjoy this one. Let's get it. You're listening to the PJF Podcast, a show dedicated to decoding elite sports performance and fitness. I'm Paul Favorites, and I'm an MBA strength and conditioning and performance trainer. If you want to become superhuman, take your fitness, and take your sports performance to the next level, this is the podcast for you. Let's do it. What's up, guys? I'm here with the co-founders of Upper Echelon. We got my guy Max. We got my guy Tom. So we just wanted to sit down and kind of just really tell you guys how this company organically started. I know a lot of you guys are on Upper Echelon, loving the product. We wanted to give you kind of behind the scenes of, you know, our thoughts and kind of how this all came together.
Yeah. So Tom had reached out to me in the past. We've discussed some stuff, and he was in the midst of putting the supplement company together at that point in time. And I'd spoken with Paul, maybe 6 months ago, 4 months ago, just discussing what current interests we have, and protein got brought up. And Paul and I had just kind of manifested the idea of EDU, so we had just been working together. And I said, well, Paul, I think there's an opportunity here that you might want to get involved with in regards to protein and supplement world of upper echelon. And kind of one thing led to the next, and here we are today, putting out this protein that we all stand by. And it's critical because when I was getting into this process personally, I wanted to make sure the protein itself was something I fully backed, in terms of I could give it to someone, feel proud of it, and it's something obviously that I myself consume and enjoy. And so when going through that process, I initially had previous history of taking supplements like we all do, and had some things that I wish the other supplements that I take in the past had or maybe didn't have, which led to the production of the protein that we now use, where it's minimal ingredients. I like to think it's made for performance in the sense that it's thought of through not just what's in it, but how it feels inside of you too, in regards to lack of bloating or how it might sit with you. And that is why essentially we got into this, because as a protein powder, well, that's probably the most common supplement that people take. And so if we want to make the biggest impact in regards to our initial product, well, let's tackle a product that is most commonly used by athletes, that I use, that my dad uses, that my family members use, that you don't have to be just an athlete to take protein powder. It's very beneficial for lots of reasons. And so that kind of got me talking to Paul and Tom about this. And then kind of one thing led to the next, like I said earlier, and we all kind of agreed upon how we want to do this. And I know for Paul can speak on his standpoint of why it was important for him to get involved, because he had been thinking about this concept, again, prior to our discussion. It kind of started in my end from a little discussion point, but this seed had been planted in Paul's brain a while ago about what he personally was trying to accomplish, and it fit in nicely with myself and also what Tom's mission was as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, every product that I get behind or anything that I do in my business, it's all problem based. It's like, okay, what are the problems that our athletes are experiencing? And so one of the problems that I experience as an athlete, and a lot of our top, pro athletes are experiencing, is we don't know what's in the proteins and what's in the supplements that we're taking. And we didn't want to, be taking protein supplements or any type of supplements that are harming our health, that have a lot of fillers, that have artificial ingredients. And so this is something, I mean, several years ago, I started looking at, and I'm like, I need something that I can confidently recommend to our NBA superstars, to my 10-year-old nephew. And it's very simple, 4 ingredients and very, very high quality. And so I set out on my own. I was trying to go ISO ball for a while, trying to get in with manufacturers. I had some ideas of a product that I wanted. And every manufacturer I went to, the conversation went back to like, okay, that's great, but what are the fillers? Like, we need extra stuff. We need, you know, it's almost like a lot of people were trying to cut corners to increase profits. And I'm like, I'm not in this for profits. Like, if we make a profit, that's a great side benefit. I'm in this for real change. I want to solve this problem for our athletes. And yeah, so luckily linked up with Max, linked up with Tom, and then we kind of narrowed everything down and looked at the product and did consulting with dietitians, and everything just really came together. And now we have Upper Echelon. To me, it's a great side benefit that it happens to be the best tasting protein I've ever had. When we originally looked at the ingredient list, and it's like, wait, 4 ingredients, all natural. This is going to taste really, really bad. And then I had it, and I'm like, this is chocolate milk. 10-year-old nephew has it, and he loves it. And so, like, it's one of those things that I've never craved a protein, and I actually crave Upper Echelon. So, you know, our high-level athletes like it, our young kids like it, and I feel very confident giving it to them because you don't have to go research these ingredients. It's very straightforward and simple and extremely high quality.
Yeah. And on that note, that's a funny story because when we got our sample packets the first time to try it, we all got them about the same time. And I brought it home, and I only had one sample, and Kelsey, my fiance, was there too, so I split in half. We each had one. And I tasted it, and I immediately...
You immediately texted me.
Texted Tom and gave him a call and said, I want the ingredients double-checked.
Yeah.
Because this tastes really good, which I was hoping for, but it almost tastes too good. So please go double-check. I want you to message manufacturer as soon as you can, because I don't want to move forward until we have validation that we got the right product and this is what we're looking for. Because I tried it, and I remember calling Tom and then texting Paul and go, I think the text was, yo, did you try this? This was dope. Like, I think that's literally what the text said.
Yeah.
And then I was like, call Tom right away, because I'm kind of not pessimistic, but I'm double checking everything because we want to make sure it's done right. I'm like, Tom, man, go double check, because this stuff is absolutely ridiculous if this is what it tastes like.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's, you know, another reason, you know, why we get along so well. You know, it's, you know, finding like-minded people. So, you know, I kind of call it a gift and a curse, but being a perfectionist and double, triple, quadruple checking things, you know, and, you know, as soon as, you know, I tried it, Max tried it, I was like, all right, email the manufacturer. I'm like, you know, I just want to make sure. And he's like, yeah, you know, we spent a good amount of time formulating this for you to make sure, you know, it was to your specifications. And then, you know, so what we did is we had it third-party tested, not only for purity, but for potency. So what's the difference? Potency means how much actual protein is in the scoop, and that actually tested at over 22 grams per serving. The other thing is to make sure that there's no contaminants, because for me as a former athlete, you know, you get tested, and you never want, you know, a supplement, you know, to, God forbid, cause a false positive. Paul works with so many NBA players. This is everybody's reputation on the line. Mm-hmm. This is why it's critical. So we, you know, went to our own lab, you know, had it third party tested by them, did a full WADA screen, came back clean. And, you know, I still remember that day when, you know, once, you know, we got the test results back, everything was great, and then we're like, all right, we're ready to roll.
So what is a WADA screen for people that aren't familiar with the vernacular?
So that's the most comprehensive banned substance list out there. It's literally every single possible banned substance, performance enhancer, you know, basically anything that could cause a positive test, whether it's, you know, in the NBA, the NFL, the Olympics. Basically they test every single possible compound, you know, and
the World Anti-Doping Association.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, and a lot of people, I think, when they see pros test positive for something, it's like, oh, it's steroids. Sometimes it's something that they got on the shelves. and it was not, tested appropriately. And so that's something that you always want to check for when you're buying a supplement as an athlete.
Yeah, because you don't have to get it tested as a company.
Yeah.
Right. This was obviously an optional thing for us. But again, it's optional in the sense of legally we don't have to do it. But for me, that's something that was never optional. I know for you and you, it's never optional. That's something that, our reputation and, of our company is based on this, right? So it's not only about having a high quality product, but, making sure that there's, nothing harmful in there. And, again, our commitment to excellence is in sourcing the right products and,
Yeah. And I think, we're like-minded and we have very similar experiences. We're all student athletes. Tom played at Rutgers, correct? I mean, Tom is LeBron. Tom is 6'8". How heavy?
265.
265, all muscle.
On a light day.
On a light day. Max was just in our gym throwing up all the weight we have. I had to order on Amazon more weight for Max. For Max.
This is true.
Stack it up.
And then I got a little bit of athleticism here and there. I'm not as strong, I'm not as big, but I got some quickness, some vertical. So we're all kind of, grinding ourselves. So it's not like we're just, putting out this product and we haven't tried it. Like, it works for us and it's helping us with our recovery. It's helping my athletes with our recovery. And we all had the same problem, I think, as athletes. It's like, if I'm going to get close to a gram of protein per pound of body weight, right? We've all been in those phases. We're trying to build muscle or lose fat. We're trying to get that protein high. We're busy as student athletes. And it's like, hey, wake up and eat, 5 eggs every morning. And then you're running late for a 6 a.m. practice. It's like, that's not going to happen. So it's always, you end up going to supplements. And I'm guilty of this in the past. As a trainer, I was always like, just eat food, real food, which is great in theory, and it doesn't really work for 99% of athletes, just everyday people. My nephew is not going to wake up early to get his food, or he's just not hungry. And so for him to be able to get 22 grams of high quality protein, it's a game changer for him. And so we can really, meet our protein requirements, fill in the holes. Obviously, post-workout, liquid nutrition can be very beneficial compared to just solid food. So I mean, overall, like, if you're in general questioning, is a protein supplement right for me? I think it can be extremely beneficial, but you got to have the right one. You don't want to go in blind and get some stuff that has a lot of added things in there that are actually going to harm your health at the same time.
I think on that note too, what you brought up is important. Is people, we're busy. We got a lot going on. And that might mean you have to get your protein before you work out. And one of the issues I've had in the past is how that protein sits with me right before I work out. And this is one of the, maybe the only few proteins I've ever had that I can drink 5-10 minutes before I go do heavy exertional efforts, working out, lifting weights, running, and not have the repercussions that I would have had otherwise, maybe with a different protein powder that might not have sat as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the aspects of how this is, like, how I view it as this performance kind of protein, in the sense that it's allowing me to not have to schedule my protein consumption, in a window that's not going to upset my stomach before I work out, but I know I can take it right before, I can take it after, and I don't have any of those bloating, I don't have any discomfort, any gastrointestinal distress that might come with taking a protein of another kind prior to or right after.
Right. I mean, that's, if you just, look at the reviews and the feedback we've gotten, whether it's your 10-year-old nephew or, there was a lady that was actually 65 years old that bought it and loves it. And the general consensus is it tastes great. It's easy on the stomach, doesn't cause bloating. And I think those are huge, keys, when it comes to picking the right protein.
Right. I have my entire family on it, from, 70-year-old parents to 10-year-old nephew. I mean, everybody's on it and nobody's experienced any type of, stomach aches. Like, a lot of proteins in the past have caused problems for me. And so to have something that's clean and easily digestible and high quality, it's a game changer for us in general.
Absolutely. And part of that too, I had blamed like the whey itself in the past.
Right. A lot of
And-
people do that.
And then I try, say, a vegan protein or plant-based protein, and I still have the same issues. And I do fine with dairy personally. I eat a lot of other, whey-related products. So it must not be a whey issue for me. It was probably what was in it that was an issue. And in some other proteins, they put other fillers in there. And these fillers exist for mixability reasons. They exist for the thickness and viscosity of the shake itself, but they're actually not necessarily made for nutritional purpose. And at times, it might be those fillers that might be interacting with me, because that's the common thread between those whey proteins I had that upset me and those plant-based proteins that upset me. Plant wasn't the lowest common denominator. Whey wasn't the lowest common denominator, but it was probably the fillers that were in it.
Yeah. Can one of you guys describe just the difference between whey protein isolate and whey concentrate?
Sure. Whey protein isolate is one of the cleanest proteins, just because it goes through extra filtration. So there's less lactose, less carbohydrates, and in general, that extra filtration sometimes is enough to reduce those digestion or bloating issues. However, like you said, there are certain ingredients that may not sit well with people, whether they're fillers or flavoring ingredients. So that was really the main focus, just to keep this as simple and as clean as possible, get the highest quality ingredients where, we're not cutting corners in terms of the cost of our product. So, the cost of, what it's taking to make it. Our firm belief is produce the best possible product we can create, and the rest will take care of itself.
Right. That's really important too, because we get asked a lot of questions. What's the next product line? When are the next flavors coming out? When are the next what things you guys have up your sleeve? And we want to make sure we're making our products the right way. We're taking our time on them. We're not rushing them out. This protein alone took some time to put together through thought, through action, and through even deciding what we're going to put in it, all the way to what our next protein flavors will taste like, to our next supplement lines will taste like, and what they will actually be themselves, which is why you don't see a whole smorgasbord of 25 different things that we released, because we're listening to our consumers as we do this. So when you guys leave a review and you leave a comment and you let us know your opinion on it, that actually, we read that we get to that information, and that helps us guide this process, because we're not making this for ourselves. I mean, obviously we consume it, but we're not making it from the standpoint of we're just going to make it and hope other people like it. Well, we want to make it. Does it check our boxes? Yes. But then does it check your boxes? And letting us know that through emails, through direct messages on Instagram to the Upper Echelon page, or through the actual comments you might leave on the review, really help us. And so
and one of the cool things in the reviews is people just rave about the customer service, the shipping. There's a lot of guarantees of, hey, we're going to get it to you in a couple days. Everybody has gotten their protein very, very quickly after they've ordered. And so that's something that people really appreciate, because when you want protein, you want it soon. You don't want to sit there and wait for 30 days for your protein to come. And the customer service is top notch. And that just comes down to having the right people behind the company. You got to have that right infrastructure. You could have the best product in the world, but if you don't have really good people behind the company and hard workers, like-minded individuals who also actually complement each other really well,
and who really care,
you're going to struggle, because like I said, most people start with marketing and then work backwards. They start with the top, what is the marketing pitch, and then let's come up with a product to match that marketing pitch. We start with a product. We start with, let's solve this problem of getting the best tasting whey protein that we can possibly make, and with very minimal ingredients. And so we start with that, and then we make the quality product, and then the marketing comes later. And so our values are a little bit different than a lot of people who are thinking profit first.
And that, go ahead, Tom.
No, you guys both touched on something that's really important. What you said about getting feedback from people. So I personally handle our Instagram page, I personally answer all the support emails. Why? Well, it gives me an excellent idea of how we're doing, you know, the nitty gritty, the micro, but looking at it from the outside, it also allows me to see the macro. So what are people generally seeing? It really allows me to get a great feel of what our customers want. Are they happy with the products? Are they happy with the service? And that's, you know, what you said is basically the strategy from day one has been put out a quality product. The marketing and all that stuff we'll do later on. What we want to master one product that we already know that, okay, we're delivering a quality product. Now we're mastering the fact that it's being, you know, delivered in a timely fashion. The customer service is always going to be on point. I try to get back to people, you know, within an hour, even on email. So it's, you know, it's the type of service that comes along with getting products from us. And basically the goal eventually will be to expand that, but you have to have this really solid foundation to build off of. It's not just, like you said, coming out with 25 products and just trying to sell them all, because, you know, again, that quality and that just excellent service all around is probably going to be lacking.
Yeah, and that's been a motto of ours, I think, providing value and finding ways to provide value, whether it is through the product itself, whether through your experience acquiring the product, so the customer service. And then also the page itself on Instagram, if you guys check it out, it's filled with informative articles and posts. It's
Fire. For a supplement company, we put out some fire training posts.
Yeah, I personally write a lot of them, and they're different than ones that I post on other pages. And it's designed to help educate. So we don't just want you to come for the protein, but stay for the knowledge, right? We want you to be a part of this community of ours that we're building here.
Yeah, because we have a ton of followers that, you know, at this time that we can't, you know, get the protein to, you know, because they live, you know, overseas, for example. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to, you know, give them as much, you know, free information and knowledge as possible through our page. And I think, you know, like you said, whenever you're adding value, you know, you really can't go wrong.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about, like, what do you like the most? Like, what's your go-to upper echelon? Because we got some reviews with some crazy creative ideas. Like one lady was putting it in her coffee or making, what was she making?
Yeah, she was making mocha. Mocha lattes. I think. Then this other guy was putting it in brownies and pancakes.
Yeah, it's so versatile because it mixes so well with a lot of things. Like a lot of proteins in the past, I'm trying to mix with, you know, milk or water, and it just doesn't mix very well. So a lot of times I'm going very simple, straightforward. Right now I'm trying to get lean because fat don't fly. And so I'm trying to get a little bit lean. So I'm trying to get my protein high, but keep my calories low. Normally to make a protein taste good, you got to put it in a shake and add a bunch of calories and add a bunch of fruit. When I'm trying to get lean, I could just put it in water and get my, you know, under, what is it, 100 calories?
It's 100 calories, 22 grams of protein, 2 total grams of carbs, 1 total gram of sugar.
So when you're trying to get lean, like, that's a go-to. But then I got guys who are trying to gain mass, and it's not like I have to tell them to go get a mass gainer. Like, use the protein and add some sugar, you know, add fruit to that, add peanut butter to that, and make an elaborate shake. But what's kind of like the ways that you guys have been, like, what's your go-tos?
Yeah, there's a couple. I'm a big water guy.
Water guy.
It mixes well. It's to the point.
It really does.
I know people who've heated it up, and we tried it like hot cocoa. You can do that too. Mm-hmm. It actually does taste pretty good.
Yeah.
You can add it in a shake like Paul's saying, but in that, and Paul mentioned something great, and as the kind of the nerd, I can't avoid it. If we put it into a shake, right, understand your goals because it fits right into it. If you're trying to add mass, throw a banana, throw a, you know, whatever, a little bit of spinach, whatever you want to throw in there, maybe some berries or some peanut butter, like the classic example, some rolled oats. Mm-hmm. But if you're not trying to add mass, you don't need to add that stuff. You can add banana, a dash of milk, and the protein powder, and that alone is fire. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always thinking, like, what am I trying to get out of it? And I'm on the go. So I like water. I literally keep it, this is kind of sad, in like a little plastic tub that's like you would put like frozen fruit in. And it mixes so well that I can just pour some water in there, swish it around, and drink it. and I don't even need to put it into a cup, so I don't have to bring a shaker bottle with me anymore.
Right.
It's just so easy. And I'm not, I don't know if lazy or efficient is the right word, but I'm
We'll go with efficient.
Efficient, yeah.
We'll go with one of those.
There
So
we
now
go.
I don't have as many dishes to do, and it's easy.
Laziness creates efficiency.
Yeah,
It's
if you
a big key.
There's a quote.
if you want to get the best job done, the easiest way, you find the laziest person to do it. I think Bill Gates said that.
Yeah.
So
It's
not
genius.
too off topic, but yes, I mix it. Water. Is the way
Yeah,
to go.
and then I mean it goes back to like what are your workouts look like? If I go out and I crush in the weight room and I'm doing sprints and stuff, well, I should probably, restore my glycogen. So what I'm going to do is like a 3-to-1 for myself seems to work well, 3-to-1 carb to protein ratio. So at 22 grams of protein, or maybe I'll go a little bit more, maybe 25 grams up to 30. So I'll put like a scoop and a quarter in there. And then, throw in a banana and I throw in some oats and I end up getting my 60 grams of carbs, my 20 grams of protein, whatever. And that just helps me restore the glycogen, also getting the protein, because a lot of people think that post-workout nutrition is all about the protein. A lot of it is about the carbohydrates, but then it's versatile. So I can, in the morning or late at night, if I'm not trying to have carbs right before I go to sleep, get rid of that stuff. I'm going to upper echelon with water. So knowing your goals and understanding nutrient timing, that can be key.
Yeah, the goal with this was to make it as versatile as possible, right? So if you want to keep it low calorie, you mix it with water and it's still going to taste really good. If you want to, up the calories, especially post-workout, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit, matching, your macros to workout intensity. It's like you said, if you have a really intense workout, well, you need to replenish that glycogen, relatively, quickly, if you want to, have optimal recovery.
Yeah, and so in that note, that's kind of why we went with the protein, because the common thread in almost every post-workout is going to be the protein, right? So you can manipulate your carbs, your fat intake based on what you add, but at the end of the day, you're going to need protein present. Now, how you consume that protein is up to you. You can take like the 25, 22 grams post-workout right away, and then maybe an hour and a half later, another scoop of 22 grams if it's a really intense workout and you're trying to meet a high protein threshold. Because as Paul mentioned, fat don't fly. And so if you're trying to lose weight, you might need to up your actual protein and take a little bit more to preserve your muscle mass. They've actually shown that when we're working out hard and we're trying to lose weight while we do that, we obviously want to maintain our muscles, because that's the point of working out. And so in order to do that, that preservation is helped through increase in protein. And so you might bump your protein intake up a little bit more, and then you might sacrifice the calories, say, from carbs or fats. And so you can get really detailed into that, because now if you're reducing your macros, well, we know we want to keep our protein present, but we know we need a time maybe when we eat our carbs. And so right before the workout, right after the workout might get us the most bang for our buck. Instead of, having all your carbs, sporadically throughout the day, now we're trying to really capitalize on some timing aspects, because we're talking about the more granular, the specific. I have a very specific goal of trying to lose weight, keep my muscle mass, but obviously keep my energy. And so that's where the timing gets involved, and that can really help in situations where you, again, might be a little depleted from a glucose standpoint. So having the carbs right before in conjunction with that protein before and after can be very beneficial.
Absolutely. And it's important to keep in mind that regardless of the goal, we're going to want pretty high protein. Like if I'm trying to build muscle, I need high protein. But if I'm trying to lose fat, people are like, oh, well, just decrease calories. Well, no, we want high protein. Some studies would suggest that we want even higher protein than if we were just trying to build muscle. And so that's obviously the biggest mistake when they hear, oh, fat don't fly, let's go lose a bunch of fat and get athletic. Well, you're probably stripping down muscle mass along with it if your protein isn't high and you're not prioritizing strength training. And so now you lost a little bit of fat, but you lost muscle and your force production went down. So your relative force production did not actually increase. And so now you're smaller, you're skinny fat, and you're less athletic. And so I was talking to Dr. Bubbs, naturopathic doctor and nutritionist for Canada men's basketball the other day. And he's like, look, we want to diet on as high of calories as possible. So like how much calories can we eat and still lose weight? That's where we want to be. And that's why that's going to allow us to not have these huge metabolic adaptations where our metabolism really just adjusts. And that's why so many people, all of America, is losing fat and then just gaining it back and gaining a little bit more on the back end, is because we're kind of messing with our metabolism by doing these like rapid cuts and not prioritizing high protein intake and strength training. And so I see it all the time. People lose fat, but they actually get less athletic in that process. And so, whether we're trying to build or whether we're trying to lose, protein is going to be high. Carbs and fats, we're going to play with those, but protein is going to be high either way.
Yeah, that's a great concept. I've always thought of that as the minimal effective deficit for calories.
Yes.
What is that minimal deficit that we can, still lose fat but maintain muscle? Because like you said, if I lose 10 pounds, but now my squat goes down by 50, am I getting any more athletic? Probably not. If my force production has gone down, it's not helping me as an athlete at all. And being a former athlete, being former athletes, I think this is something we understand. Obviously, working with so many high level guys, I think that's again where the understanding of this information comes from.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because the media eats up weight loss stories. Like when you see a pro lose 15 pounds, the media goes crazy. ESPN picks up the story. This guy lost 15 pounds. He's going to be jumping high. Yeah. And in reality, they come in and they're not more effective at all. So you got to do it the right way.
It's a great headline, And my favorite is somebody gained 20 pounds of muscle in 4 weeks and also lost 15 pounds of fat.
Yeah. How does that work?
Yeah, and part of that too, and why protein is important, is there's molecular reasons. So I think it's important to kind of mention some of this, because we hear things like amino acids versus protein. Are they the same thing? Well, the protein that you're consuming is made up of amino acids. It has an amino acid profile in it. So the difference between like branch chain amino acids might be that you're only taking a select couple of those amino acids, say 3 or 4 in that mix, versus getting all your essential amino acids in a profile, such as the whey protein. And those amino acids are taken by the body, and they're kind of like the building blocks from which a lot of your tissues are constructed. So we're talking about collagen and tendinitis and repairing, not repairing, but hopefully augmenting and helping, maybe like a jumper's knee. Protein plays a critical role in that, just like it does in building your muscle mass, just like it does in forming your neurotransmitters. So the way to think about it is you have fats. Fats are often used for structures in the cell, such as like myelin sheath is one of the most common things that made for the cell membrane. The proteins are like the high structural integrity things, like your muscles, your tendons, your soft tissues, and your carbs are kind of like your fuel, your energy resource. But what happens is, if our body doesn't have enough protein, your body goes, well, I need that protein one way or another. And so it goes in what's called a catabolic state to break down the muscles and those other structures that have protein in them in order to use them for the other areas, such as energy. Now, this can be staved off by consuming enough protein. And so that's why the protein intake goes up when you're trying to lose weight, because you've reduced probably like carbs, for example, like an energy source. So instead of your body only having 100 grams of protein to pick from, you give it 150, say, because it might borrow 25 of those for the demands that carbs left as a void, because you've reduced them. And because of that, it can help spare you going catabolic and breaking down your own muscle tissue and own structural integrity, which is why potentially if you go on these drastic weight losses without the right protein, you could potentially be more injury prone, because you've now lessened the integrity of those structures, such as your tendons and soft tissue and your muscles and your neurotransmitters. And it's trying to compensate for the demands of the workout and the energy needs, so it doesn't have enough to be distributed all around, which is why bumping up that protein intake, like Paul alluded to earlier, when we are in that caloric deficit, is important, not just for the fact we're trying to maintain muscle, but maintaining structural integrity, which in turn could lead to less potential likelihood of injury.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I'm just trying to think of the questions that I've had a lot of younger athletes asking. One of the main questions, and I don't know, I mean, Max, you might be the one to really answer this. Amino acids or branch chain amino acids, why is that maybe not necessary if our protein intake is adequate?
Yeah, and so that's because the protein intake is where those amino acids come from. So the amino acids, to not get too scientific and give you guys numbers, there's a certain number of like essential amino acids, and those amino acids are ones that your body can't make itself. And in the traditional sense, when we eat protein like a steak, your body gets all those essential amino acids from the protein. So protein is kind of this umbrella term that covers up all those amino acids that sit underneath it. And so when you just take specific amino acids, well, you're not taking the full essential profile. And they've actually come to believe that that full essential profile is very necessary for anabolism, so things to grow. Now, there might be certain amino acids that promote anabolic activity a little bit more, like the initiator, such as leucine,
isoleucine, and valine, which are, but leucine is the primary. But those are the three branch chain amino acids. But leucine seems to be at least the primary anabolic.
It kind
activator.
of starts the switch, but it's not necessarily the full engine. So you need the full machinery, all the essential amino acids for this process to be optimized. And so if you ask the question, well, why should I take protein if I have amino acids? Well, because the protein has a larger and more robust profile.
And whey protein isolate typically has the most complete amino acid profile of, basically any protein that you can consume.
Mm-hmm. And in that's where you get your amino acids from. So don't think about amino acids and protein as these two separate things. They are one of the same, essentially, but you could have specific amino acids that are derived from the protein itself as a whole, because a protein is just a labeled term to describe what you're consuming, essentially.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me of something that Marie Spano just posted about, and we've had her on the podcast. She's unbelievable dietitian, works with Atlanta Hawks and Braves and a bunch of pro teams, and she posted this cool little stat. It's to get 2.7 grams of leucine and 10.9 grams of essential amino acids, the different types of proteins that you would need to take and how much of it. So whey protein, to get 2.7 grams of leucine, you would only need 20 grams of protein. Whereas something like brown rice, you would need close to 40 grams of protein. Wheat, you would need 50 grams of protein. Hemp, you would need all the way up to like 50, even a little bit higher than 50 grams of protein to get that same amount of leucine. And so I think that's probably something that people don't understand, is that it's like, oh, it has the amino acids, so we're good, but there's different levels.
Yes. So in that, the protein can have an amino acid profile.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is that protein made up of, and how many of that is it made up of? So it's kind of like a basketball team, right? If you only had point guards on that basketball team, they're not going to be very good. So the profile was just point guards, we're not going to be very good. We need an essential makeup of a team. So you might have your point guards, your wings, your bigs, but then you also have the bench players who are the reserves who are going to back them up in case someone goes down. And you need a coach, you need a trainer, and all this stuff. So to put together a team, it's not just 15 point guards, it's a full profile. And just like a protein, you need a full amino acid profile that fits it, because leucine might be that scorer, right? It might be that person who's averaging 25 a game, and you need that person, but 25 a game isn't going to win you any game by itself. It's going to only be a part of the team that helps you win the game. So if leucine's that critical initiator, well, we need to have a protein that has enough leucine, as Marie Spano pointed out, but we also need the full essential amino acid to go with it, because just like a 25 points a game, you need the rebounders, you need the guys on the bench, you need the coach and the whole team to be actually winning a game.
Yeah. So I'm the leucine. When we go play basketball, I'm the leucine, and you guys are my supporting amino acids, right?
I'm the caffeine.
Is that how that works?
I'm not even an amino acid out here. I'm a catecholamine.
Whole different category.
Straight epinephrine.
I love it.
Protein derived. Fun fact: tyrosine, L-DOPA. Go that pathway.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams, right? We need to have the right team, not just in our amino acid profile, to make sure we're getting the right anabolic effect, but we need to have the right team set up from a business standpoint.
That segue was elite, by the way.
Yeah,
Keep
that
going.
was an
I just
upper
wanted
echelon segue.
That was UE segues.
Ha! I don't even know where I was at now.
No, that was. I just had to acknowledge how good that segue was. Okay,
I've been
keep
practicing segues.
going. Yeah. No, but I mean,
So what did I
with
say?
as far as like the team goes, maybe we can talk about. And Tom, you're kind of the point guard, the big point guard. You're Luka because you're 6'8", but you were kind of the point guard of this, where you kind of saw the potential in us, and kind of what was that move, and where does that come from of identifying us as people that can really help you grow?
So, I think this is going to be a great conversation, and for everybody listening, because I think it's going to be great to actually give people actionable insight onto how to start a business, how to do things, not just your typical cookie cutter, have the right mindset and take action. It's great. But it's very vague. So here are some things. Number one was starting it the right way. So it's from a legal standpoint. You're incorporating your business. You have attorneys in place who take care of a lot of paperwork. Can you do it yourself? Sure. Should you? Probably not. I think one of the most important things in life and in business you can do is know how to find the best person to get the job done.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's great to have general knowledge, but outsource things that need specific knowledge. For example, starting a business, you have attorneys. Now, those attorneys then pointed me to other attorneys who are like, okay, well, you need to, get a trademark. So we do that. So this is all a process that the first 6 to 9 months of this company being active, there's nothing happening. If you look at our Instagram page, there was one post in April of 2019, just as a placeholder. So a lot of stuff is going on behind the scenes. And then, it's, when you're trying to figure out your team, right? It's number one, you want to have like-minded people. I think that's the easiest way to, for things to fall apart is if you have people that have completely different mindsets or views. So, you have to identify, well, what are your core values? How do you like to do things? What's really important to you? What are non-negotiables for you? And then based on that, do you already know people that maybe would be good fits with your company? Or maybe do you need to reach out and seek out other people, which in this day and age with social media is a lot easier to do than it used to be. But, having, a little bit of a relationship with Max, just over the years, we kind of kept in touch. And then, when he mentioned you, I thought, well, this is perfect because you'll already have this audience of people that are interested in a product we're going to provide. So athletes, people interested in training. If your audience was people that love cars, well, that you could have 10 million followers. It's not gonna do anything. It wouldn't be the right fit. Mm-hmm. So I think finding an appropriate audience is huge. Because to try to build a company from scratch, with all the competition out there, is something that's very difficult. And if I were trying to do it on my own versus having you guys in from day one, would be, okay, now you got to hire a marketing company. You got to run these, expensive marketing campaigns, mm-hmm. which may or may not work. Or you have the right people as part of your team. And I think from day one, the point was for this not to be something that you guys were promoting. It wasn't just like, hey, this is a company, we like the company. It's like, no, you guys are like part of it. I mean, from day one. And I think that's, what made it a mutually, beneficial decision.
Right. Yeah, I think it's so important. You mentioned, like-minded people. It's like-minded, but also people that complement each other. Because if you guys are like-minded and you have the same skill set, because we're all shooters and none of us are dribblers and none of us are screeners. And so that's something I learned very early on in my business, having Ashley kind of running my company along with me. We are like-minded in the sense that we have the same exact goals, but our skill sets complement each other. We're exact opposites. She's very, very organized. I'm not. I'm very idea-driven, and I want to innovate and come up with ideas, and she wants to fulfill. And so I think with us, we have a lot of that dynamics where we're all very different, but we still have the same goal and the same core values. So I think that's one reason why it's worked so well.
And I think part of that too is people get in mind that it's just a matter of doing something, and that mindset's a great mindset, but it's doing something with a calculated approach. Like Paul and Tom said, you can't just go play a basketball game with 3 people. You need at least 5 people to play 5-on-5. So as much as you might want to try and do it yourself, you need to understand what you and your weaknesses are as your strengths. I have a quote I like. I think the stupidest person is someone who doesn't know they're stupid. And what I mean by that is it's okay for me to be stupid in areas. As long as I'm aware I'm stupid in that area, I can seek out someone else who's not stupid in that area and can help me succeed in it. And so that's where this team and how a business might get best started for yourself. It's initiating it with an identification of your own self. Where am I strong? Where am I weak? Where am I okay at? Where can I facilitate at? And so while a lot of times people talk about you just got to do something now, right? Don't sit around and wait for it. Well, yeah, okay, that means being active, but that doesn't mean trying to start a business, because what you might be doing actually is reflecting on what you need to be doing. And as ironic as that sounds, like you're not going to do anything, it actually really helps set the base for you to make what your actions are next more effective. For example, I sit down, I look at what I'm weak and what I'm not weak at, and then I make my actions based on that understanding. You don't go to the grocery store nowadays, typically, if you're in a different area, like here in LA, without my GPS on, because I don't know how to get there. I at least know my end goal. I know where I'm starting, and my team member, Mr. GPS, is going to help me get there. I'm going to drive the car because they can't drive the car, and I sure as heck don't know the directions.
Right. Yeah, I think what you touched on is something that's really important, is having the same goals, but having skill sets that complement each other. So, yeah, you guys are really creative and really great at coming up with these ideas. I'm not really that creative, but I'm very structured in terms of organization and just keeping things organized. And I think that complements well, because I may not have the creative ability to come up with and see some of these ideas that you guys have, but that skill set is going to complement each other very well.
Right. And I think that is a huge mistake that especially like gym owners, like first time gym owners, you go in and it's like you start it with your friends. It's like 3 friends that maybe you guys are all good at the same thing. You guys are all good at like teaching conventional lifts, but you don't have anything that complements. And so now you're not keeping the company lean because you already have to pay 3 people, but you're not paying 3 people. One guy's good at marketing, one guy's good at organization, and then you're good at teaching the actual lifts. That's how you kind of start a company. That's a mistake that people do make all the time. And then they realize that, hey, our overhead's so high. I got to pay all of these people out. Now we got to pay gym rent, and we actually don't have people to fill the roles that we need filled.
I think that's the thing that scares me with some of the promotion of just, go right now and do something. And I think it's a great idea because doing something obviously is an initiator, but it's also not go and take on something you can't handle yourself. It's do something you can handle. Yeah. So initiate it within a series of events that are achievable. It might be as simple as reaching out to someone. That's doing something. And so I get a lot of messages from people asking, hey, Max, I want to start this. I want to build this, whether it's my Instagram, whether it's my website, whether it's online training, whether it's consulting. And you first have to ask, well, are you skilled in those areas? Like, do you have the ability to consult? Because maybe that's not the right area for you to go into. And secondly, what infrastructure do you have there that's going to support you? For example, it's a great idea to start a business. Everyone can start a business. Not many people can make a successful one. And because of that, it gives a falsification of ease. Oh, I see people who start a business and were successful. Therefore, the only limiting factor between me and them was the fact that they started it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not necessarily true. There's a lot of businesses that fail. You just don't hear about them. And what I'm trying to get at is that when you go into a situation where you're trying to create something new and something that is a little bit of a larger task than, say, just online training, like starting your own business, a gym, you really want to have the foundation of what you understand, and then speaking with those who've been there before to learn their pitfalls and their areas of success, so you can then not necessarily replicate, but digest it and apply it to your situation.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I think what you touched on too is having a strong foundation of knowledge is so important. So it probably was years ago that the first idea of like, all right, I want to start a business, but I knew that okay, it's going to take a lot of reading, it's going to take a lot of research, it's going to take a lot of trial and error, and some experience to really understand what it takes. Because like you said, a lot of people think that it's just a matter of starting, but it's I think the quote is failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Mm-hmm. And that's if you're not prepared when you start, it's not to say that it's impossible to do well, but if you want to give yourself the best chances to succeed, you have to have the prior preparation in place.
Yeah, sharpen the axe before you chop down the tree. And I do think another important thing is going into the right area that you are actually passionate about. We're all genuinely passionate about this, about nutrition, about helping athletes get better. That's one of our key passions, and the passion is going to drive
borderline obsession.
But yeah, obsession, right? And so that's something that people ask me all the time, like with my business, with training. It's like, how do you stay driven? Because it can be tough. Like there's days where I do go 24 hours straight, where I'm coaching on the floor all day, and I'm doing online programming, and then I still got to fit in some studying. It's like, if I wasn't passionate about it, there's no way that I could continue to push through that. You could push through for the first 2 years because things are still exciting and it's fun to make some money and it's fun to help people. But if you're not super passionate about it, you're not going to continue to go for the long term.
I want to throw something in there too, because the difference between passion and novelty. A novelty experience is something that you might be attracted to, but it's not something you stay with, like a roller coaster ride. Oh, that was really fun. It probably gave you more of a thrill than what your quote unquote passion is, but that's not something you're going to do nonstop. And what happens, I think a lot of people fall into novelty. They see something else that someone else is passionate about.
Yes.
They themselves get interested in it. They therefore assume it's a passion and go with it, and don't realize that it's not a roller coaster ride. You don't just pay $5 and have a fun time, but it's a grind to it. And if you don't enjoy the effort to actually build the roller coaster per se, you don't just get to ride the roller coaster. Right. And so there's a big difference. Right? People like to say, oh, I want to do X. Well, everyone, if your goal, for example, is I want to make money, I think a lot of people would agree with you. But there's stuff that goes into it beyond just having a successful, like a clothing line.
Yeah.
You got it. There's more than just, designing a cool t-shirt or maybe making a protein like we're doing here. More than just saying, I want to make a protein and putting it out there.
Yeah. That's such an important point. That's something that I've always talked to like our trainers about, our interns about. It's like, are you passionate about training because you like to train, because you like to look better and you like to get more athletic? Or are you actually that passionate about the field in general and the science behind it? Are you passionate enough to do these 12-hour days helping other people? Because it's very fun when you're doing it for yourself. But then you get in the trenches and you realize, oh, I'm not actually passionate about exercise science or nutrition. I'm passionate about looking better and jumping higher myself. So there's a big distinction that's where a lot of trainers fall off. So they think they have a true passion for it, and it's not a true passion.
I want to throw some like pretty straightforward, applicable advice for people who are listening who are just curious more about the business side, because this is stuff that isn't really talked about. I think we hear people talk about their successes and they kind of the fun things to it, but there's actually a very analytical side to it as well. And what I mean by that is you got to kind of think about it in a couple of different subcategories. First off, you got to make a product that people will like, right? It doesn't matter how much you could sell a car for $10, but if it runs out of gas after 10 minutes, no one's probably going to buy it. So you got to make a product that's actually filling a solution to a problem. But then secondly, once you have a product, you have to create traffic to that product. You can't just have a lemonade stand and sell a hover car. You probably actually won't sell that many. All right, you could run the corner and you have a hover car and it could fly around forever, and it would take a very long time, the world's greatest product ever, to actually gain traction. So you need to have some sort of traffic. Then you need to display to that traffic what solution you're providing. Right? You can't just have traffic for, say, people want to buy hats who then come to your car store. That's not going to be the traffic that you want. So the marketing is going to help portray the product to the traffic that you maybe already exist, and it itself might create new traffic. So you might market to certain areas that you think these people would like the product I'm making. So I'm going to go to a car show to sell my car. I need to put that effort in. And then you analyze and look at, okay, did I get in front of the right people? Because maybe you got in front of the right people, people didn't engage with it. They didn't actually realize what you were selling. So you might have had the right group of people you were selling to, the right product, and you sent the marketing out, but the marketing didn't actually register with them as to what you're trying to actually sell. So then once you get those 3 steps in, someone's now engaged with the product, they understand the solution, and they understand the message that you have provided with the right traffic. You still have other obstacles beyond that. Can you fulfill their orders, what they want to have? Because they might leave based on the experience. Can you provide value beyond which that of just the product provides? And then how can you empower that person who enjoys your product to showcase it? Let's just look at shoes, for example, right? I like Jordan shoes, and I liked Michael Jordan growing up, right? And so they had, Nike had picked a guy who was my favorite player at the time, and he wore shoes that I like. And then I put the shoes on, and the shoes actually worked well, and they were good shoes. The same goes for like Adidas and James Harden, his shoes. You're not just going to have the right player wear it, but you actually need to have the shoe actually work. And then I myself need to go to the store, and when I buy like my shoes, if I'm buying Harden's shoes, I need to actually get the shoes after I've ordered it. I don't want there to be a missing shoelace or the wrong color. And then I get satisfied and I wear it, and I then showcase it, right? You could argue then my wearing it around and telling people, man, I really like this shoe, helps promote that. But if I had a bad experience even just buying the shoe, I might even be more reluctant to even share the great product that is. And so as a business owner, as someone who is wanting to start a business, we need to think through all these aspects, differentiate marketing between branding, differentiate traffic between correct demographic traffic, differentiate sitting down email versus engagement, and then understanding the conversions and why maybe things aren't going well. Because as a human, we ourselves are kind of our own business. And so if you even take it to the smallest level, why am I not getting the job that I'm applying for? I'm creating the traffic, I'm getting the interviews, but I'm not getting the engagement. Is my resume off? Am I presenting myself incorrectly? Why is my conversion rate in the areas I'm trying to succeed in lower than I expect? And let's reflect on that, because it's how a business works, it's how you work, and it's even kind of, and weirdly enough, how the human body works, even adapting to stimuli. It's kind of the universal thread of things.
Right.
Right. You brought up a couple different things that I think are important, as more actionable insights in terms of a business perspective, understanding your metrics and what they actually mean. And in building a business, especially an online business, you hear a lot about, building a funnel, right? But what does this mean, right? So I've always looked at the strategy of attract, then inform, then convert, and then impress. right? So first you want to attract the people, you want to create awareness for your product, for your company. How do you do that? Well, in our example, you have an audience that is already potentially interested in working out, improving their performance. So right there, they may be interested in supplements, right? So now that traffic starts seeing our page, seeing our product. Now inform, that's through our page, through our website, inform, people of what the product is. But sometimes, it's not only about providing the solution, but sometimes it's identifying the problem, because sometimes people don't understand, what the problem is in the first place. And sometimes bringing awareness to the actual problem is really important. Once you do that, the basis behind all this, like, this doesn't matter if you don't have a quality product. And this is why we kind of, started, the podcast talking about this. It's, you can have the biggest following, the greatest marketing campaign, but if your product sucks, it doesn't matter. None of it matters.
Right.
Like, you'll get some sales short term, and but it's not a long-term sustainable approach. And if you want to build a great company, it needs to be long-term. It needs to be sustainable. It's not something that, you can get away with having a bad product for 6 months, a year, and you'll make your money. There's if your marketing is really good, but that's not really the goal. And then once you convert, your consumers, you really want to impress them. So how do you do that? With excellent customer service, fast shipping times. Those, for me, I always looked at it as a consumer as like, why is, like an Amazon so successful? Well, you order your product, you're getting it in a couple days every time. So with, when you impress people, then they become your fans. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's not just about having a customer, but it's about having a happy customer who will maybe write a great review, and maybe they'll tell 4 or 5 of their friends about you. Mm-hmm. And that, it makes a huge difference, especially when you're not too focused on, having a huge marketing budget early on. How can you get a lot of customers without putting too much money into marketing? And it's really simple. If you impress people, to the point where you offer wow service and a wow product, it's going to be a game changer. And you have to figure out what that's going to be for you, if you're thinking of starting a business. And going back to actually, what you guys were talking about, it's when a lot of people, sometimes will even DM me on the page, or just email me in general as to, for business advice. And my first question for them is, how long have you had this idea, and how long have you been excited about it? Mm. Because if it's less than 6 months, it's probably not the right one, because a lot of times we get excited in something just because it's new.
Yeah.
And for me, this is something that I've been thinking about and interested in for as long as I can remember. And I just didn't act on it earlier on because I really didn't know how to do it. And, for me, it's like, if you're going to do something, you're going to do it the right way. So let's take our time and, and really figure out how to set it up properly. But, that's, I think really important to understand that, look, just because, you thought of this idea today, that you should go start the business tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Really, like what you said, are you really passionate about it? Mm-hmm. Is this something that, 2 years from now, when, maybe there's a lull and you're not making as much money as you hoped or whatever, are you still going to continue doing it just because you would do it for free? Yeah. If you could?
Yeah, exactly. And if you're sitting there listening to this and wondering why we were talking about amino acids and science, and all of a sudden we're talking about business, that's a perfect example of what our company is about. We're here to help. And we were sitting here before the podcast and we're like, what should we talk about? And it went back to like, how can we add value? It's not really about, and a lot like our Instagram page, like, how can we add more value to our customers' lives? Whether that's talking training, whether that's talking nutrition, or even talking business, because a lot of you guys are going to get into business at some point. It's just like, the more we can help the better we're going to do as a company. And so I think this conversation is a perfect example of our mission. It's not starting with thinking about the profits. It's starting with how can we help people? If profits come on the back end, that's great, but how can we help people?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I always thought of the E in the middle of UEN as standing for three things: educate, elevate, and empower. And I think that's, for me, I know that's always been my mission with, it's great to have a company that has a product and, that fulfills a need, but where else are you adding value? And how else are you helping people? And I think that's,
Triple E's. That could be our nickname. Triple E's.
Ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee.
Exactly how Paul and Tom alluded to. And as a company, we want to be transparent too. Like we a lot of companies don't talk about what they're doing from a business side because I think they feel it's weird to their customers. And I know you guys are all people. Like I'd want to know this if another company, when Nike makes it, or Adidas, or whoever makes a documentary out there, I want to listen and watch. I would watch a Netflix documentary about how Netflix got made while paying for subscription for Netflix. Right. Because I enjoy the product, but I also want to learn. And we kind of talk about that, and it's something that, on our seats, we're like, well, maybe this is weird to talk about. But then we thought about it from, if I was in your guys' seat, I'd want to hear.
Yeah.
Please do share. I'd want to know, because if it only helps 2 of the thousands of listeners get a better understanding so they can be more efficient in their development, well, if they make a company that's successful, that might employ 30, 40 people, all because we are open enough to share some advice of how we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, maybe they become so successful that one day, we buy their products, and it'd be wonderful that way. And you don't know what information you might share that might benefit someone. And so while it was kind of awkward, in all honesty, to mention it at first, it was something that we really wanted to talk about because it does provide potentially the value to even just 1 or 2 people out there that might help them have a little more guidance on their journey for their business startup.
100%.
Yeah. I think being able to talk about it stems from one thing, and that's supreme confidence in the product being as good as it is. And look, if you're cutting corners or doing things, then it's probably going to be really weird to talk about business, because deep down, you know that what you're doing is right or wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think, one of my thought process with everything from day one with this company was, let's make doing the right thing cool. Like, pretty much you can never go wrong by doing right by people. Whatever area of life, whether it's business or training or whatever.
Absolutely.
100%. So we are back in stock, and you guys can check us out at uenutrition.com. Do we have we have 20% off code?
Yeah, they can use
PJF
Performance or Strong by Science, depending who you like more.
So use mine. Please use. I'm begging you.
You can also use the code back in stock if you want to use my code. But
shout out to Tom. All right.
And heads up too, like when we got that restock order, that thing went fast. So
so we made that one post of the mixability test.
Yeah, and we sold
out our
like
entire
3 hours.
our entire store.
It's like one of the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm looking at my phone. It's just like order.
Yeah.
Just nonstop.
So we're back in stock, but get it while it's hot. And we would love to have you guys on board and join the UE family.
And one thing too, I want to throw in there before we sign off on this. We had questions from gym owners about bulk orders. Mm-hmm. And yes, we do that. So if you're curious, just shoot us a message.
Yeah, you can DM us. You can email me, tom@uenutrition.com. And we can definitely work something out.
Yep. All right, guys, we're out.